Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Alif Aldianurrusydi and I'm from class B. Today I will present the result of my work, namely cross-cultural understanding about South Korea. Hope you enjoy. Country background. People have been living in Korea for at least 10,000 years. Archaeologists believe it. The ancestor of today Koreans came from Mongolia and Siberia. Korea's first kingdom was Old Joseon, which ruled the northwest and part of China for more than 22 centuries. In 108 BC, it was overthrown by Chinese armies, and three new kingdoms emerged: Goguryeo, Baekje, and Silla. In the AD 990s, the Silla, with the help of Chinese troops, won control of the country. In 936, a powerful noble named Wang Kon unified the country under the name Koryo. This kingdom lasted until 1392, when the Yi family seized the throne and began the Joseon dynasty, which ruled until 1910. The first Europeans to reach Korea were sailors on a Dutch merchant ship that ran aground on Jeju Island in 16 and 1506. They were held prisoner for 13 years, but one man escaped and returned home. His tales inspired European traders to go to Korea, but their ships were banned from Korean port until the 19th century. In 1894, Japan and China sent soldiers to put down an uprising in Korea. Afterward, they and Russia fought for control of Korea, which Japan won in 1910. When Japan lost in World War II, its territories, including Korea, were taken over by the Allies. Soviet troops occupied the north, while U.S. troops stayed in the south. In 1950, the communists in the north invaded the south, sparking the beginning of the Korean War. The war raged until 1953, and more than 2.5 million Koreans, Americans, Chinese, and others died. The war was never officially ended, and the Koreans remained divided. Hanbok is the traditional Korean clothing. Hanbok generally have a bright color with simple lines and do not have pockets, although it literally means Korean clothing. Hanbok nowadays refers to Joseon dynasty style clothing, which is usually worn formally or semi-formally in traditional celebration or festival. Religion. South Korea is a country where all the world major religion, Christianity, Buddhism, Confucianism, and Islam, peacefully coexist with Shamanism. According to the 2005 statistic, 44% of South Koreans identified with a religion. Among them, Buddhists and Confucianists have been more influential than any others upon the life of the Korean people. And over half of the country's listed cultural heritage is related to the two religions. Since Buddhists arrived in Korea in 372, tens of thousands of temples have been built across the country. Adopted as the state ideology of Joseon dynasty, Confucianism is more of a code of ethical conduct that emphasizes the importance of loyalty, filial piety, and ancestral worship. Based on the concept of Confucianism, the Joseon dynasty established a code of conduct that settled the manners and customs of the people's lives. It stresses the importance of chung and the loyalty of subjects to their king, hyo filial, the obedience of children to their parents, and yol, that is between the husband and the wife. Language. Hangul is the name of Korean alphabet, although the spelling, alphabet, and vocabulary differ slightly between the two countries. Korean is the official language of both South Korea and North Korea. Linguists believe the Korean language is a member of the Altic family of language, which originate in Northern Asia. There are 5 major dialects in South Korea and 1 in North Korea. Despite difference in the dialects, speakers from different areas can understand each other. The Korean alphabet is easy to learn, and Korea enjoys one of the highest literacy rates in the world. Other popular language spoken in South Korea. First, English. Almost all of Koreans under 40 years have participated in English lessons as part of their schooling. However, due to inadequate practice and the fear of mispronunciation, many Koreans only know basic English phrases. Second, Japanese. The population of the older generation in South Korea speak Japanese. The majority of the Japanese speakers reside in Busan, which is a short trip to the Japanese city of Fukuoka. The dialect verbally in Busan bears similarities to Japanese, while the Japanese dialect used in Fukuoka exhibit Korean influence. Family. Family is the most important part of Korean society, and the father is the leader of the family. They also believe in a hierarchical structure, and children help their parents and must obey them and show respect to the elders, as Confucius' teachings have a deep influence on Koreans' life. They believe in deity, loyalty, honor, and sincerity. That's why children live with their parents after they become adults, as they believe it is their duty to take care of their parents. Naming convention arrange name as follow: family name, then personal name. For example, Kim Min-soo, male, or Lee Hyori, female. Each Korean name usually consists of 3 syllables. The first is the family name, while the second and third as the given name. For example, in the name Kim Min-soo, Kim is the family name. The family name or surname is inherited patrilineally from one's father and shared with other siblings. It always comes before the given name and is usually a single syllable or character. The given name or personal name usually contains 2 syllables or characters. Both components of the personal name are considered to be a single unit. The concept of a middle name is not followed in South Korea. Greetings. Use a person's formal title, Ye, Mr., Mrs., Doctor, when addressing them for the first time, and continue to do so until they signal otherwise. The most common way to greet in South Korea is with a bow. The casual bow is a dip of the head with eye closed, sometimes accompanied by a slight bend from the waist. This type of greeting is used when informally greeting someone or walking past someone of a higher status. Business interaction require a deeper bow, where the torso bends from the waist by about 13 degrees. The deepest, most polite bow expresses sincere gratitude or apology. One bends from their torso to around 45 degrees or at such an angle from which the head would have to stretch up to look into the face of other person. The head is kept lowered in this greeting. Handshakes are also used to greet in South Korea to show great respect during this greeting. One may support the wrist of their right hand with their left as they shake. Women may also greet one another by reaching out both hands to touch, then clasp the other woman's hands. A person in a position of service may put their hands together in front of their chest when greeting you or accepting something as an expression of gratitude. Many Koreans who live in Australia hug or kiss as a part of greetings. Communication, verbal, indirect communication. The South Korean communication pattern is generally indirect and quite verbose. They tend to rely less on words and are attentive to a speaker posture, expression and tone of voice to draw meaning. Speech can be ambiguous as they often understand their point. The purpose of this is to maintain harmony throughout the conversation and prevent a loss of face on either end of the exchange. The best way of navigating this rhetoric to find the underlying meaning is to check for clarification several times through open-ended questions. Refusals. A South Korean's preoccupation with saving face and politeness means that they will seldom give a flat no or negative response, even when they don't agree with you. Therefore, focus on hints of hesitation, listening to what they say, but also paying careful attention to what they subtly imply. Speech style. While they may be indirect in their communication style, South Koreans generally speak quite firmly and use less gesture and facial expressions. This can make them come across as stern. Expect them to give serious replies. They also tend to ask questions in order to discern their status in comparison to the person they are talking to. This can catch people off guard. For example, how much do you earn or how old are you? Silence. Silence is an important and purposeful tool used in Asian communication. Pausing before giving a response indicates that someone has applied appropriate thought and consideration to the question. It reflects politeness and respect. Laughter is sometimes used in awkward situations. A Korean may laugh when they feel uncomfortable and not necessarily because laughter is sometimes used in awkward situations. A Korean may laugh when they feel uncomfortable and not necessarily because what was said was genuinely funny. Communication, non-verbal. Physical contact. Koreans are generally not very physically affectionate with one another. However, male friends may touch one another more than Western men, and girls may walk hand in hand. Personal space. Personal space is not guarded very closely in Korea. People generally expect to come into contact with strangers on busy streets and tend not to worry or apologize when personal space is invaded. Pointing. People do not point with their index finger but rather with their entire hand. Beckoning. One beckons by fluttering all fingers to one's hand with the palm facing towards the ground. Eye contact. During a discussion or friendly conversation, make full eye contact with the person you are talking to. Avoid direct eye contact if you're scolded or rebuked by someone older or of a higher status than you. Some Koreans may also avoid eye contact with their superiors on a regular basis. Hands. Use two hands or your right hand alone to offer or receive something. Gestures. It is considered rude to make a fist with your hands while placing the thumb between the middle and index finger. Expressions. Koreans tend to come across as quite straight face in conversation. However, their facial expressions can immediately expose when they are angry or in disagreement. Smiling, as well as an expression of glee and humor. Smiling can indicate that one is feeling ashamed or embarrassed. In Korean culture, for example, a Korean may smile when they make a mistake. Sneezing. Sneezing is considered rude in Korea. It is best practice to excuse yourself from the room if you have to. Date of significance: South Korea Independence Declaration Day, 1st of March. Buddha's birthday, varies each year. Children's Day, 5th of May. Parents' Day, 8th of May. Korean New Year, varies each year. Memorial Day, 6th of June. Constitution Day, 17th of July. Liberation Day, 15th of August. Chuseok, varies each year. Armed Forces Day, 1st of October. National Foundation Day, 3rd of October. Anniversary of Proclamation of Korean Alphabet, 9th of October. Christmas Day, 25th of December. Other consideration: being an almost entirely ethnically homogeneous nation that has been invaded multiple times, the South Korean culture reverses some trepidation for foreigners. The country is wary and guarded against being subjugated again, and therefore you may find it is slightly harder to gain the trust of a Korean. Koreans can find it awkward or intimidating to speak one-on-one with people of the opposite gender. So much socialization between genders in Korea occurs in groups. Koreans only scribe in red ink to write the name of someone who has passed away. Korean counting is done differently. A number indicates a unit of time, and in higher numbers, figures are counted in group of 4. Therefore, when referring to a number with a Korean who is not proficient in English, it is wise to write the number down in full to avoid misunderstanding. Military service is compulsory for South Korean men. Popular culture. K-pop music. Many Korean pop stars and groups are known throughout East and Southeast Asia. K-pop often features young performers. In the 1970s and 1980s, many musicians appeared, such as Cho Young-pil, a renowned musician from that period. He used many sources, such as the synthesizer. Among his influence, he is well known for popularizing rock music. The popularization of Korean pop music has come from many sources, including YouTube and other video streaming sources. With the growth of social media, it has helped with the expansion of K-pop outside of Asia. Some famous K-pop bands in 2021 include BTS, Big Bang, Blackpink, EXO, NCT, Twist, etc. Second, K-dramas. Korean television, and especially the short-form dramatic miniseries called Korean dramas by Koreans and K-dramas elsewhere have become extremely popular outside of Korea. Dramas were foremost among cultural exports trend in Asia and elsewhere. The trend has driven Korean stars to fame and has greatly boosted the image and prestige of Korean popular culture. But one example that the Korean wave of drama have come into existence is in 1997, when the National China Central Television Station aired a Korean television drama, What is Love All About? Turned out to be a big hit. Korean comic or manhwa. In Korean, the term manhwa simply means comic, but outside the two Korean states, it generally refers to the comic of South Korea, although some comics come from North Korea as well. Webtoons. Webtoons are digital comic invented in February 2003 by the website Daum in South Korea. Love Story by Kang Ful was the first successful webtoon that popularized the industry. Never founded Line Webtoon in June 2004 and launched their website worldwide on July 2, 2004. Other countries including mainland China, India, Taiwan, and Singapore have created their own webtoon industries. Now before you go, showers are not always private in hotels. Google Maps doesn't work. South Korean people dress smartly. Shoes off inside. There's good Wi-Fi everywhere. There are a lot of free attractions. Rubbish bins are scarce. They love cute and quirky foods. Avoid taxis, especially black cabs. Be polite on the streets. Be careful talking about Japan. Soji is as cheap as water. Culture shock. Cafes are everywhere in Korea, bumping into someone while walking. People don't hold door for you. Metal spoons and chopsticks. Holding hands amongst girlfriends. Use toilet paper for everything. Sharing food from the same dish. You can use free Wi-Fi everywhere in Korea. Food delivery at 1 a.m. no problem. Hang with Koreans whenever possible as they enjoy sharing humor. Make an effort to compliment what you like about Korea. This may help in giving you face. Be aware of how you fit in the social hierarchy that Koreans observe. Discern who is superior to you based on age, position, and family name, and show respect to each other, each person as necessary. If you don't adhere to this expectation and fail to give a Korean the respect they are due, you may lose face in their eyes. You may even find that they wish to avoid you after. Expect a Korean to be modest and subtly deny any compliments you give them. Be sensitive to the hardships South Koreans have endured and sympathize about the situation in North Korea. Accept things using your two hands. Take off your shoes before entering someone's house. Segregate your trash. Don'ts. Avoid drawing parallel between the Korean culture or language to Japan. Korea should be acknowledged for its distinctiveness and difference from other East Asian cultures. Avoid exhibiting anger or distress in heated displays or outbursts of emotion. Doing so may cause you to lose face. Don't underestimate their knowledge and intelligence, as the Korean population is very culturally educated and politically aware. Giving tip is not necessary. Don't blow your nose in public areas. Don't write someone's name in red ink. Don't take picture of someone without their permission. Don't be noisy in public transport.